How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm all right. And your name is?
My name is Mr. Karish.
Okay. So, first question I have for you is, how long have you been like in relation with the foster care system?
I worked in a foster care system for 11 years.
Okay. And can you tell me how how working in the foster care system has affected your life?
I was an activity specialist for the town of Bloomfield. Bloomfield has the largest population of foster kids. That's why we were able to get the grant.
Mm.
My experience doing the foster care program, you have good days and you have bad days, depending on the situations, depending on if you're going out into the community, if you're having something within the building. It's just different things goes on with foster care.
Mm-hmm. And do you believe that the foster care system is ran correctly?
Our foster care system is broken. And the reason I say it's broken because I feel like a lot of children are put in places just so there's a roof over their head and there's food to eat. But the reason I say it's broken because a lot of times when these kids go into these homes, they're not given the love that they should get. They're not giving the things that they need, the clothing, food. They'll give them the shelter. But I see a lot of times when we will have the kids out in the community, a lot of times they never had money to buy food. And us, we ran the program, so it's like the parents were responsible to give them spending money. A lot of times we would bring them out, they didn't even have money. So us as staff, we would have to spend our money on them.
Okay. Um, what do you think should be done to make sure that children are being put in suitable homes in foster care?
I think there needs to be more training for the foster care parents. There also needs to be more checkups from the social workers and caseworkers. That will make a big difference. And people need to go behind those people to make sure things are done. Make sure they're spending the money right on the kids and not themselves.
And my last question for you is, do you think that the foster care system has more of a negative impact on a child's life in their mental or positive?
It depends. If I feel like if a child is taken in by a family member, they have a better chance of getting a better life. But if they're taken in by a stranger, there have been cases where foster kids have run away from the home because they were being molested or raped by someone within the household. A lot of times, there have been times when the foster parents go on vacation, they'll send the kids to something called respite. That's where the kids go to another family's house. There's men that live in the house. You just never know what goes on. And there has been horror stories, but I feel like the system can get better if people do their jobs. Don't just hire people. Don't just put these kids in houses. Make sure they're in a good home and not being abused.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm good. And who am I speaking with?
My name is Rashonda Tyson.
Okay, so the first question I have for you is, how long have you been in the foster care system?
I have been a foster mother for 3.5 years. It's probably
Okay.
over that by now. May will make 4 years.
And how do you think foster care has affected your life?
Um, that's a loaded question. Uh,
I'll rephrase it for you. I would say,
I'm like, where do
how
I
do
even
you
start?
how do you feel being a foster parent has affected your life?
Sorry. Um, well, first of all, I think that being a foster parent has greatly improved my life. Being in a position to give a loving home to a kid in need is, I think is just admirable work. This is also my first time being a parent, let me say that. And parenting is hard as hell. There are things that we have experienced um, that I couldn't imagine experiencing. Um, yeah, I'll stop there for now. Maybe I'll get more specific as we go on with questions.
Okay. And as far as what you know what about the foster care system, do you believe that it's ran correctly?
Oh, no. Absolutely not. Um, there are some people within the system. I guess they're social workers. Like we've had 3 different social workers, and the first one I personally feel like was a waste of time. He said things to me that I thought were totally insensitive, like even saying something like he feels bad for the parent. And let me say that my kid was removed because the parent physically abused him. And the social worker thought that the parent was doing all that he could do to like get the kid back. And a judge thought otherwise. So yeah, to me it was almost like the social worker had befriended the father and
Mm-hmm.
was trying to reunite the kid with the father because of that. And to me, that was just absolutely wrong. Let me go on to say, too, that the father had gotten arrested within the first year that I had the kid. And the father called my phone and basically asked me to put some money on his books while he was in jail. And I said, absolutely not. Some way, somehow, dad got in touch with the social worker, and then the social worker told me that I should put money on the father's books. And I thought that that was absurd. The kid was already going to see the father because that's something that DCF does if a parent is in incarceration. DCF still takes the kid to see to visits. I didn't agree with that, but that's something that they do and whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm like, this stipend that DCF gives to me is to take care of the child. And there was no way that I was gonna put a penny on that dad's books. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely have mixed feelings about DCF. I also feel like they don't do enough in terms of supporting the parent through the issues that the child is showing. So my kid,
Mm-hmm.
he lies and he steals, and he has stolen from me. He's stolen from family members. He's stolen out of stores, and all I could do to correct that really is tell him that is wrong and have a conversation about it. And when I've told DCF this information, they're like, "Oh, that's just um, normal kid behavior." I was so sick of them telling me that that's normal kid behavior, and I'm like, "Okay, well, when is it going to become a problem? When it's grand larceny, when he's 18 years old and the store sees him as a man, a black man, and just calls the police on him. Like when the cops get to the scene, they're going to arrest him and they're going to send him to jail. And, you know, he's going to get whatever time that crime, you know, is attached to that type of crime. And in my mind, if DCF treated it more seriously, then maybe it would um, deter the kid from continuing to lie and steal.
Right. I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the foster care system has more of a negative impact than positive impact on the children's mental health?
Mm. Um, I don't know how to answer that. I guess it would depend on the family that the child ends up with. Um, so I can speak for myself and say that the life that I am able to provide for my kid is far better than anything that he would have experienced with his bio family. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean that in every sense of the world, from nutrition, from the traveling that we are able to do. I'm also an educator, and this kid did not go to kindergarten. Now, kindergarten isn't legal, or it's not it's optional in some states. I guess I'll say it that way. But the father lied and said that the kid went to kindergarten in a different state. He did not. And then this kid was put into first grade when the family moved to Hartford, and he struggled like hell through first grade. And because I'm an educator, I was able to transfer his schools, number one, and handpick his teacher, meet with the principal, meet with the reading interventionist at that school and the math coach as well, and like tell them what I think his needs are and make sure that he gets pull out services so that he can catch up.
Okay.
But I know, again, because I'm an educator, I know of students who are in the foster care system, and some of them are well taken care of and others not so much. I had a student a couple years ago who had to be removed from the foster home that she was in because that family was into illegal activities.
Okay. And the last question I have for you is, what do you think should be done to make sure that the homes in the foster care system are suitable for the children?
Um, Not that I want people in my house more frequently. They do visit twice a month. But maybe it should be a little more than that. And I think that the visit should have more substance. So like when the DCF social worker comes to visit my house, and they haven't done this in a long time, I guess because I've proven to them that I feed the kid, but they used to check my fridge to make sure that there was food in there. And they also check the smoke detectors to make sure that they are functioning. They check his room and they do like a walkthrough of the house to make sure that it's in a condition that is suitable for children. But I don't know, with the student that I had who had to be removed from her foster care family, I could imagine that social worker did not actually do home visits. Because if they had, then maybe the social worker would have picked up on the fact that there was illegal activity in and out of that home.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I have no more questions for you. And that was all.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Hello, I'm here with
Corey Gray, school social worker.
Okay, so first question I have for you is, how long have you had a relation to the foster care system?
I want to say at least maybe 3 to 5 years.
Okay. And if you can you explain how foster care affected your life?
It affected my life as far as practice. I was able to see the effects of how the system work with our kids, and also see how not having something that we take for granted of a parent involved in their life, a consistent, healthy parent as well. So I was able to see how it affects them. But if I was to really talk about effect, it's more on them. Like I seen there's trauma. It affects how they have relationships and how they think about their way of life. And a lot of kids also don't even know that's in foster care, how to even clean their room, budget, and the normal stuff that they would learn from their parents.
And if you can you explain your personal experience with foster care?
So I've worked with DCF for a year. I've also worked with homeless youth for probably 4.5 years. So I definitely have 5 years then of experience.
When I say experience, I mean anything that you have personally gone through or seen that, you could explain.
No, more as a worker. I've never been in foster care myself, but as a social worker, I have dealt with it. I've seen 2-year-olds, not even 2 to 3-year-olds, not even know how to talk when we got them into the system, and then when we got them into a stable household, they were able to know their ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and even know how to speak Spanish before they were even 3.5. So I've seen the benefits of that. Being somewhere consistent. And when we first met them, they were hitting every kid, taking their stuff, and then 6 months later, they were able to play with the kid positively, and be able to communicate their feelings. And that's just within 6 months, so on a smaller scale. But then I also see in the bad where they're 15, 16, 17, and they have to go to group home because nobody wants a kid that's older. So I've seen the effects of that.
Okay, and do you feel like the foster care needs improvements?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, you probably need some. We need to be able to check these people that we're sending the kids to, thoroughly. We also need to, I would say, like, get more people to want to do it as well. Because especially for kids that's teenagers, they have a higher rate of not finding a foster placement. And then finding out their resources, like going to cousins, going to aunts, family, friends first before we place them into foster care. So finding them other alternatives, because nowadays kids don't even have grandmas to like send them to. So yeah.
And do you think that the foster care can have more of a negative impact on somebody? I mean, on the children, or a positive impact?
It affects everybody differently. I mostly see it in a negative way because of my line of duty, but there is good in it. I have helped someone who has been dealing with foster care all of her life, and foster care doesn't stop when you're 18. It also can continue until you're 24. You just have to be in college, or you have to have a job or something like that. So you can still be in DCF care. So I have helped someone become, help her on her feet, get her the resources that she need, help her with her housing, and now she's a teacher at Hartford Public Schools. So we gave her a chance when she was asking for it, and now she's benefiting from it.
Right. And the last question I have for you is, what do you think should be done to make sure that the homes in foster care are suitable for the children?
Of course, you gotta do the background checks. You have to put people through trials as well. I think you should put people in like a test trial, as far as like, if they're only staying there for 3 days, like see how they do for 3 days. Don't just give them somebody for an unexpected amount of time. See how they handle kids first. Maybe even interview people around them. I think that'd probably be a good thing as well. And I also increase the stipends, because the foster placement do receive money for it, but just need to increase it and more, kind of give people more of a will to do it. That's how I'll start.
Thanks. That's all the questions I have for you.
I appreciate you.
Yep.